go take a look at Miss Orange. Now, when I was talking to you earlier, I was saying that this seemed to me to be a much lighter type of group of images, that it seemed like it was kind of parodying fashion shoots.
Right.
But you said no, that this one too is equally a sort of, a deep, thoughtful project.
It is a really deep, thoughtful project. Didn't start out that way. In fact, the Miss Orange project started a friend of mine who likes to do, costume design as a hobby.
Is this Jill Katz?
Jill Katz,
right.
Yep. She had made the green dress out of bubble wrap years ago, and she had worn it to Solstice, and I saw it, and I said, oh, we should take that out to the desert and photograph it.
Right.
And so it was really, that was just like, oh, it looked great. Right. Photographed out in the desert.
Right.
So after 2 years of bugging her, I finally convinced her to go down to the Salton Sea with me, and we photographed that costume and one other made of dominoes at the Salton Sea. And we had some unusual experience. If you haven't been to the Salton Sea, it's kind of a very meth lab-y, odd, characters there. And there's a wonderful bar at the place called Bombay Beach where we were actually photographing the dress. And we met some unusual characters that then inspired Jill to write a poem. Oh, okay. And so then I looked at the poem, and then we got together, and then we started revising the poem together, and then decided, well, we need more photographs to fill out some missing areas in the poem. So we did a second photo shoot 4 months later down at the Salton Sea, and then we self-published a little book.
Well, let's take a look at the images now that we sort of have some context for it.
Now this image is actually a little bit out of context, now that you say that. This image is from a recent photo shoot that we just did in Death Valley. So it's not part of the Miss Orange of the Salton Sea, but rather a new phase of the project. And these are more just about, this is really more just about shape and line versus anything meaningful. Whereas the other images are definitely more. So this was the book cover image of Miss Orange, and this is kind of telling the story of her life. She's stuck in the mud. You can see her feet are stuck in the mud. Her wings, her hands are up like wings, like she's trying to fly away, but she's stuck in the mud and she can't get out. And so this Miss Orange book is about a woman in despair who's stuck in her life, and she's trying to figure out how to get out of this horrible ruins of the place that she is, and how her life is. It's in ruins. So this is the very first image in the book, actually. It says Miss Orange was bored. So here she is in front of her house. Her house is a wreck. She's unhappy. And it was funny because it was a horrible windy day. Jill had a terrible cold. And she really was miserable.
She looks pretty miserable.
She was miserable, and I was miserable. And so the misery actually was a fortunate thing because it comes through, definitely.
Now, I love the way this bright pink and this chartreuse almost green and her orange hair are working against these really dull, flat colors.
Exactly, the Salton Sea, which is just a really drab place. And so, yeah, again, this is the green dress I was talking about. I gave her, because we had started already, this was on the second photo shoot, we had already begun to define what the story was going to be. And so being my religious and background and the idea of symbols in my work, I gave her this platter with the dead fish, which is kind of a symbol of Christianity gone astray. Okay. And the apple, of course, the Garden of Eden.
Mostly eating, it looks like.
Eating the apple, which causes the destruction of mankind, the fall of mankind. So they're symbols of the fact that her life has failed. And when you look at the actual book, you'll notice that at the beginning of the book, she's always sitting, and a chair is an ancient symbol of womanhood. And so we have her in a chair in almost every image. And so she's sitting, and then suddenly, as she begins to fix her life, she begins to rise out of the chair. And so this is the first image in the book where she's now rising out of the chair. It says now high on amphetamines. So she has problems still, but she's beginning to rise above her troubles in this image.
Now, I am not a photographer, but for photographers and people who know more about photography, can you tell me a little bit about the camera you're using and maybe what post processes you're involved in?
Yeah, this is done on a Hasselblad, so 2¼ square format image. And these were shot on a film called EPP, which is a chrome or slide film, people know, but it's been cross-processed. So it means it's been processed as though it's a negative film. And what that does, it alters the base of the film and makes colors brighter. So that's why the colors seem really bright, is it's cross-processed film. And then it's been scanned and then photoshopped to enhance it further. And this image where she's sitting in the chair, this is she rose each day singing "Hello, Sunshine" at the beginning of the book. And we had a wonderful moment where it was the setting sun on one side, we had a huge strobe on the other side, with two lights, the sunset and the strobe played together beautifully on this image. This is one of my favorite images from the series, actually.
Yeah, well, and this kind of emblemizes a lot of your work so far that I've seen, which is that it's got this real sardonic touch, but is very clearly concerned with form, with beauty also.
Yeah, I like beauty and form, but I also think that ugly and unattractive is actually beautiful as well. Okay. So we look at the Salton Sea as an unattractive place, and yet there's a real beauty. I mean, there's an absolute real beauty in the place. And so, yeah, I like to see beauty as something that maybe isn't classically beautiful.
Okay.